So your pressure will be still the same.
Well, actually, it's the kindness of people, sir, who still think that I should be involved. And I was imagining that they would be very glad once my term is over. Yeah, that's what it looks like. All right, everyone, we are starting. And Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and welcome to the 998th meeting of Karachi Toastmasters Club. This is an academy session, and as a short introduction, the academy session is uh, actually the advanced format meeting, and it usually has a keynote and advanced speech evaluations. So, as I'm standing in for the president, it is my job to uh, have guests introduction, although we hardly have any guests today, but as a matter of formality, I would like DTM Saf to introduce himself.
Thank you very much, DTM Zala. My name is Saif Ali Sheikh, and I'm a president of Lahore Toastmaster Club.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Toastmaster Amir Will. Please introduce yourself.
So just give me some time to get back. I'm in the middle of something. I'll raise my hand in just a minute.
All right, it's all right. It's all right. You can introduce yourself later, although all of us know you, so nobody's there. So, uh, with that, we move on to the meeting, and of course, conveniently, I'm also Toastmaster of the day, so we won't waste any time in reintroducing myself and the transitions. And instead, I'll just brief you what will happen in the meeting today. Today, first, we have a keynote address from DTN Sarfraz Nazeer, and next, we will have a 5-minute Q&A session. After that, we have a speech from Toastmaster Latish Mansoorani, his HPN project, and we will have advanced evaluations. And finally, of course, there will be the general evaluation. So before we move further, I would like to actually ask that, first of all, we need a language evaluator for today's meeting. So instead of assigning anyone this role, I will request everyone to keep on the lookout for the good usage and for the incorrect usage. And at the end of this meeting, when the session time will come, we will ask everyone to give their input. So everyone, please kindly make notes. And in fact, all right. In fact, it just occurred to me that we can make Toastmaster Latif the language evaluator. Toastmaster Latif, would you like to do it? Of course, not during your speech, but rest of the segments.
I was just giving a Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I wanted to give a thumbs up that everyone is a language evaluator, and suddenly it happened that it turned out to be me. Okay, remind me if I have to give a word of the day also, or that's.
Usually, we don't have that in the academy meeting, so yeah, you're relieved of that duty. Toastmaster Amir Bilal, you have raised your hand.
Yes, sir. Just to answer your question, I think everybody here know me, so I'm gonna tell something which is new. These days around, I'm into something which is very, very interesting, and that is coaching mastery. Since I have learned and practiced this with Toastmaster International, and now I'm working with some of the platforms to be officially a life coach. And I'm on the way to be, and very soon Pakistan will be having an internationally certified life coach who will be having an impact on the lives of people. And I have started making my team, and soon we'll be launching my programs and sessions. Thank you very much.
That's great, Toastmaster Amir Bilal. Thanks for hearing, and it is always amazing to see Toastmasters going places. So with that, we move on to the meeting, and today our language evaluator is suddenly Toastmaster Latif. So Toastmaster Latif, please introduce yourself.
Assalamu alaikum once again. Today, my role as a language evaluator is to note down the good usage and not so good usage of grammar and some sentences or some phrases which makes me sound good or attractive. I will give my report when called upon by the general evaluator later during the evaluation session. Thank you very much, and over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much. And I will be the timer. And of course, we are all familiar what timer does. But what I'll be doing is just showing the timing cards. The green card will be shown at the minimum time of a segment. The yellow card will be shown at the intermediate time, and the red card will be shown at the maximum time. And when you see the maximum time, that means the red card. So it will be 20 minutes for the keynote address, and it will be 7 minutes for the prepared speech, and 3 minutes for the evaluation, and 1 minute for the round robin evaluation. That will mean that you have 30 seconds to wind up your presentation. I will also make one more request. If Toastmaster Amir Bilal can be one of the round robin evaluators, since we are missing that role. Toastmaster Amir, can you be one of the commendation role players for our speaker?
If we have no one, I can confirm my tentative participation for that, and that depends if my boss doesn't call me or if I have no meeting.
It's all right. It's all right. Even if your boss calls you, we can slightly adjust the schedule. It will just require 1 minute of your time. All right.
Yes, perfect. And that will be for the prepared speech, right?
Yes, that will be for the prepared. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So everyone, with that sorted, let's move on to the keynote address. And let me tell you one thing about DTM Surprise that none of you knows. And I'll go right ahead and announce it. DTM Surprise just filed for his 6th Distinguished Toastmaster certification. So everyone, please give him a huge round of applause. He is Area Director in District 50. He has done countless leadership roles. He has been a semi-finalist of World Championship of Public Speaking. But what's most impressive about him is not all these credentials. It is when you hear him, you automatically know that he is someone especially talented and dedicated. And that is hard to do with every meeting, and yet he manages to do that. So everyone, please put your hands together for DTM Sarfraz Nazir and his keynote address, Beyond Audible and Visible. If you want to appear as smart, as lucid, as handsome, as clear as DTM Sarfraz, better pay attention to this keynote. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. So everyone, please put your hands together for DTM Sarfraz Nazir.
Mr. Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters, I understand that Karachi Toastmasters went online right after COVID-19, around March 2020. I did not join Zoom meeting until the 1st of January 2021. It was a summit where we were not participating in it, just listening to other speakers. So that was the first time I used my laptop, joined the Zoom meeting. I had my audio off and my video off. So I spent all day listening. A few months later, one of the popular American comedian, Judy Carter, held a short seminar. I received an email. I thought I'll join it, see what she has to say. I joined, but I kept my video off. I was afraid how I'm going to look. What might happen? People see me. And she put us into break rooms. And even though there were only 3 of us, one person disappeared, the other person was online, but I unmuted myself so I could talk, but I kept my video off. It took me several months to get comfortable turning my camera on. So for the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you some of the things I've learned by making mistakes and then making adjustments. You have heard about Murphy's Law. If something is going to go wrong, it will. And that's why it's important that all of us plan, prepare, and pray. Plan means if you're a speaker, you should know what you're going to do, what time the meeting is, and if you're going to use any props, that they are readily available. I've noticed sometimes people have their props in the back of the room and then they have to turn around during their speech and walk and pick up the stuff. I've seen some people with not an 8.5 by 11 size paper, but 11 by 17 long paper in their hand. And all you see is the paper moving while their hands are moving. So that's why you need to plan. Then preparation. I thought if I just log in a few minutes before the meetings to start, everything will be okay. But what happens if I start and nothing happens? My laptop is not working, some equipment is not working. One night I set up, tested everything was working fine. I left my laptop on, and I think I also made a mistake of leaving my Wi-Fi on. For several months, I had been getting notices to upgrade from Windows 10 to Windows 11. And I kept on clicking on later, later, later. Since I left the laptop on that night, system upgraded to Windows 11, and then it turned off to restart. And since the password was not there, it would not start. So next morning, when I turned on my laptop, it had gone into encryption mode and wanted me to put the encryption key, which I did not have at the moment. So I had to go to a backup plan. So now my preparation is that 90 minutes before the meeting, even if I've checked it the day before, night before, doesn't matter. 90 minutes before the meeting, I need to log on, use the meeting, not join meeting, but start a meeting and test my audio and video to make sure everything's working. That's preparation number 1. Preparation number 2 is about 21 minutes before the meeting to log back on and do the meeting test again, making sure the video and audio, if something is wrong, then I can come up with a second plan or a third plan. For example, if laptop is not working, I go to my backup old MacBook. Now, the third thing is, in Karachi, you see hanging on the wall in most of the shops. This is for the blessings of the house and the blessings of the shop. And I thought, if it's good enough for the blessing of the shop, why not good enough for the blessing for my Zoom meeting? Because of Murphy's Law. So I have this thing hanging over my mini Zoom studio, just in case something goes wrong. And I know God is watching me. Even if you plan, prepare, and you pray, it's possible something might go wrong. But if that happens, there's no need to fear. Just admit it, make some adjustments. Worst thing is to log off and log on again. If that doesn't happen, say, sorry, I apologize. Send a message from your iPhone that, hey, I cannot rejoin, and I'll see you guys next week. So equipment, I started by using the laptop. You may have read or heard that the cameras on laptop are not of high quality. And that's the reason I went to an external camera. So I started by, instead of buying all the equipment that I needed at one time, I've been adding equipment slowly, one thing at a time, and then replacing it as I learn more about how to be effective on Zoom or how to be effective in front of camera. So I was using Logitech C90. It's a high definition camera. I had 2 of them, and they are of high quality. They work very well. But lately, I switched from Logitech C90 to Logitech 4K Pro webcam. This is higher quality than the other one I was using, but the main reason I used the one that I was using initially, its field of view was fixed at 78 degrees. This one I'm using now has 3 angles, and I can adjust it. So I'm using 2 cameras. One is for close-up. When I do a close-up, I'm using then 65. So that way there's not too much background around me when I'm doing that. And then, so for today's meeting, I changed from 65 to 78 so that I can use my hands for gesturing. Now, even if you have a good equipment, if your Wi-Fi connection is not strong enough, you're going to have problems. The best connection is the hardwired. And unfortunately, that does not work for me. The cable from the outside comes into the bedroom on the 1st floor, and that's where the modem is. My Zoom setup is on the 2nd floor. And I had some technician come out and look at it. He said, well, one is we can run a wire from there through the hallway, up the stairs. I said, I don't want to have a wire hanging like you see electric wires on Karachi streets all over the place. So what I did was I added Netgear Wi-Fi extender. Now this is like a rubber band. All it does is it stretches your Wi-Fi connection. But it's like being on a road during rush hour. There's too much traffic, so it slows down. So there were times when somebody said, well, we couldn't hear you. And that's because Zoom has bandwidth issues. So I've switched from Netgear and I've gone with Eero, E-E-R-O, Eero 6. Eero is an Amazon company. Eero, instead of being a Wi-Fi extender, it's a Wi-Fi mesh. So I have the Eero router connected to the modem. The modem also had a router and that's been disconnected. So the Eero is connected. And then I have the Eero extender just a few feet in the hallway from it. Then a few feet from it on the bottom of the stairs, I have another one. And then I have one sitting right here near the desk. And these communicate with each other. And if there's a problem with the Wi-Fi signal in one area, they'll adjust it. And the Wi-Fi plan that I have with the company is 50 megabytes. But when I did the internet speed test, I was getting around 20. Since getting rid of the Wi-Fi extender and switching to the Wi-Fi mesh, I just now did a few minutes ago, and my plan is 50, and I'm getting about 44 to 49. And that's not bad for download. And all this is because of some of the mistakes. For example, I was giving a speech and someone said, hey, your video disappeared for about 30 seconds. And that's because some of the equipment was hooked up to a hub port because the laptop only has one. And then I'm using a docking station that has 3 USB ports. So I've got 2 cameras and 1 microphone with it. So I was using a cheap USB hub and that was having problems. And that's the reason the video dropped off. So then I switched to a J5 Create USB hub that has 7 ports. And that has my mouse, keyboard, and the lights. Now I have an overhead light, but if you go to a photo studio for a portrait, they have lights on both sides at 45-degree angles. And I'm using LED cube lights, one on each side. Microphone, I can use the microphone that's built into the laptop. The Logitech cameras, they also have a good microphone, but I'm using Blue Yeti external microphone. because its quality is better. It has stereo sound. I can move away a little bit away from, so I'm not tied down too close to the laptop. So some of the changes I've made to my Zoom setup is because of things went wrong. Then I had to make some adjustments. But what about appearing? Even if I have the best equipment and I have a good Wi-Fi connection, that doesn't mean that I'm going to be a good presenter. How do you present effectively in front of a camera, which is slightly different than giving a speech in front of an audience in a meeting room or a conference room or an auditorium? First is the standing. You may have seen, and I've seen it, I don't want to mention names, in KTC meetings, for example, sometimes people, when they log on, they are right on the bottom. Rest is the background of their house, or they'll be in this corner, just barely. And am I visible? Yes, you are visible, as long as we can see you, but that's not the way. So take your screen and divide it into 9 squares, 3 rows vertical and 3 rows horizontal. The speaker should be in the middle. So that means you left and right side should have equal distance, so that I'm not standing here unless there's a reason for that. But generally speaking, I should be in the middle. And then not only in the middle with the equal distance, but my head should be towards the top, not like this where I've seen some people there where they're sitting there like this and you see the ceiling or the ceiling fan, ceiling lights. Rough rule of thumb is when you're standing or even sitting down, if you place your hand on top of your head, there should be the distance between the top of your screen and your head should be about 1 fist or one small apple. If you place an apple, the top of the apple should be touching the top of your screen. This way you're positioned right. If you look at the broadcasters on cable news, you'll see that's how they're close to the camera. They have the distance on the left and right side equal, and their face is not only close to camera, just a slight distance between the top of the screen and their head. Now, a lot of times people just say they're looking at my audible, visible. If you're a speaker, before speaking, before starting to say anything, you should be smiling. It's not good to smile while you're talking, especially if you're talking about something serious. Rest is a smile, take a deep breath, look at the camera, and then start talking. How about looking at the camera? In an in-person meeting, we know we have to make eye contact and we look at the person sitting on the left or the right, person sitting in the back. But when we are in front of the camera, we still have to make eye contact. But our natural tendencies is to look on the monitor, to look at, if I say something funny, I want to see, hey, are these people laughing? But if I do that, I've broken the eye contact. I'm no longer, and I will not be thinking. So it takes practice to keep standing in front of the camera and keep looking at the camera. If a person has difficulty looking at the camera, a simple suggestion is to put a dot right below the camera, a red dot, for example, so that you always focus on the red dot, and that way you're always maintaining eye contact. Now, where to look? If you're looking at the camera, you don't have to look all the time. You can break eye contact and look down a little bit, just for a 1 to 2 seconds, and then look back. Never looking to the left. If I stand here and start looking for some reason, you're not going to pay attention to what I'm saying because you are wondering, what is he looking at? So no looking to the left or right, always looking at the camera. Now the camera adjustment should be, the camera should be at eye level. So that's the reason I use 2 cameras. I have the capability or the ability in Zoom to switch cameras, but it sometimes takes, I just use 2 separately. One is set up for when I'm sitting down close to it, and the other one is set up when I'm standing, so that they're all right. Because if I'm like this, I'm looking up, that doesn't look nice. Or if I'm looking down, you will be seeing my top of my head. So at eye level should be where the camera is. Now, I mentioned eye contact. Then if you have to think, pause for a few seconds. If I stand like this, you're wondering, Is he not confident? Has he forgotten what he was supposed to say? So if I have to think, all I have to do is keep looking at the camera, pause for a second, and collect my thought and start talking. Now, what about gestures, hand gestures? Best thing to do when you're gesturing is to avoid pedal hand gestures. We are in the habit of keeping our hands at the same location. Pedal means if whatever gesture it is, I'm doing it exactly the same with the left and right hand. It's better if you do not use a pedal gesture, meaning the hand should be slightly at a different angle. One hand slightly higher, doesn't have to be like this, just slightly higher. This. And making sure that my hands don't go out. See, if I extend my hand, it's going out. So I've got to make sure, no. So what I do is to walk around and figure, before the meeting, decide where my cutoff place is, put a piece of tape. That way, then I know not to step outside there or not move my hands. It looks funny, see hands, if I raise my hand, so I know I've got to raise this one. And same thing is I've got to adjust the camera angle such that if I'm gesturing, you can see my hand, moving my hands, but you're not seeing my hands. So they should be high enough where you can see them. So some of the things that we learn in order to give speeches in front of a live audience also apply when you're giving a speech in front of the camera. For example, putting hands in the pocket. Some people have the habit. I mean, if you don't want to appear macho, that's good. But when you're giving a speech, that's not the time when you need to place your hands. Some people have the habit of keeping a pen. Unless you are going to demonstrate, you are going to write something while you're speaking, keep the pen in your hand. If not, if the pen is of no use, it's not a prop in your speech, there's no need to hold it. I've seen also people, if they have ring on their finger, they keep playing with the ring. All these are distractions. If as a speaker I do these gestures, instead of paying attention to the words I'm saying, you're going to be looking to see what I'm doing and why. Some people have the habit of, the hairs keep falling in front on the forehead. If that's the case, fix it, put some hairspray. How about women? In some of the meetings in Pakistan, I've seen, for example, a female presenting, their dupatta keeps falling. And while they're speaking, they keep adjusting every few seconds. The best thing to do is to use a pin or a clip and fix it before the meeting so that you don't have to adjust while you're speaking. It takes away a few seconds out of speech, but also it's distracting because in the United States, some females don't pay attention to how they're dressed. If a person is wearing low neck and they're moving, guess what? Most of the men are not going to pay attention to what she's saying, or their shoulders, sleeves keep falling and they keep adjusting. So those things should be tested out before the meeting, before the speech, and then make adjustments if it's not the right dress. Then, as I mentioned, don't hold anything in your hands unless they are prop and you're using them in your presentation. If you're going to use props, make sure you have a table, stool, something where you place, so you don't have to bend down and pick them up. Just as I mentioned, smile, you don't have to smile, just realizing smiling. Now, people think that, hey, they shouldn't need to make a point to come forward. If I do like this, then go back, that does not look natural. To make a point, I can just stay where I am and simply bend forward a little bit, look at the camera, make a point, and then move back. These are just simple tips that you can apply to make your presentations effective. And I'm going to open the floor for a couple of questions. If we have time, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, DTM Sarfraz. That was revelatory and eye-opening for all of us. And even though some of these tips we've heard before, but somehow they make even more sense every time you say them. So everyone, the floor is open for questions. We have 5 minutes for Q&A. So grab this opportunity.
Okay.
Anyone who
Yeah, while you're thinking about a question, notes. And I was in one of the District 122 contests where the speaker, she had a very good speech, but someone posted, one of the judges, is she reading? So if I place my paper next to the camera and keep moving my eyes or look this way, keep back and forth, people are going to assume that I'm reading even when I'm reading. If you're going to use notes, you cannot use a large paper. Just take an index card, write your notes, and paste it right below your camera. And that way, when you're looking at the camera, you can still see that. Or people use teleprompter, and I don't have enough space on my desk to put teleprompter, but I have another monitor that the edge of the monitor is right next to the camera. So I tested and it works. I placed a document and just a few words per line and placed it at the edge of the monitor right next to the camera. So when I looked at the camera, I'm also looking at the letters. So I don't have to have a complete speech and I can have my outline. So making sure if you're using notes, you can use notes, but place them right below the camera so you're not looking left or right, or people would assume that you're reading, and that is a distraction. So I'm ready for the first question.
Thank you so much, Peter Sarfraz. So anybody who wishes to ask a question, please raise your hand. All right, Toastmaster Rabia has a hand raised. So, we have two questions. So first, Toastmaster Rabia, and everyone, please keep your questions brief.
Okay. Thank you so much, DTM Tala and DTM Sarfraz, for that amazing presentation. I have a hard time with pauses. I get very overexcited and I want to tell everything in a very short time, and I forget to take pauses. How do I do it in my prepared speeches?
Okay, the one is, I read somewhere, said, great speech is one that has a strong opening and a strong conclusion, and a very short distance between the two. Sometimes we think that in order to give a good speech or great speech, we need a lot of material. It's just the opposite. You can have very few words and have an effective, like the Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, just has a little over 200 words, and it's still considered a masterpiece. So one is, when you prepare your speech, go back and look at it, see where you can cut out unnecessary, or where you can replace 3-4 words with one word, so that you do not have too much material and you have to go fast. To give you an example, the first time I advanced to the district contest, my speech was 1,040 words. And I delivered it in 7 minutes and 20 seconds. That was about 140 words. So I was speaking at full speed. Some of the people, especially some judges who are not used to hearing a different accent, had trouble understanding what is being said. Now I've cut it down to 675 words, especially for Zoom. Because if I talk too fast, especially on camera, people are going to have a hard time. So what you do is to shorten, just use the most important material in there, so you know you're not rushed for time. And then at the end of each sentence, pause. Because if I do not pause and I finish one sentence and my last word runs into the first word of the next sentence, people have a hard time keeping up with it. So say the sentence, finish sentence, and break into short sentence, not long sentence. If your speech is short, you can complete the sentence, pause slightly, and then go on. It doesn't have to be a long pause, just a few seconds, so people can grasp what was said, and then you also taking a breath and you continue. So to summarize, use as little material as possible that still makes the point that you're making in your speech, and then pause so you're not rushed. Try not to put too much material so you're not rushed, and that's when you will stop using pauses.
Thank you so much, DTM Sarfraz. Toastmaster Iftihaj. Please go ahead with your question.
Thank you so much, DTM Talha bin Hamid and DTM Sarfraz, for this amazing presentation. And my question is, I feel really difficulty in adjusting my room lights so that I will be for example, sometime I am going to present and there is lot of light coming on my face and I am unable to adjust, and sometimes there is too much darkness. So can you please guide me about that?
Okay. Yes. Now, if the light should not be direct at your face, so best is this, during the daytime if you're presenting or on Zoom, is if you have daylight. But see, there's a window on my right side, so I can open, but the light should be behind you, not in front, because otherwise it will look like a whitewash. And so that's why, even though I have a window, I don't use the window. I have blinds. I use the blinds to cover up. So I'm not using any light coming from outside. So I have the cube lights. Show you what I'm using. And I've got one on left side and one on right side at 45 degrees angle, just like a photo studio. And then you can have the light. So it depends on, so what you do is you do start a meeting, check your own setup when you're not in an official meeting, and see where best. So if you're in dark, because of the light, something KTC meetings I've seen, there's a place in front where speakers are speaking from. There's certain points where places where the person stands, it's all dark, they're dark. You can't even see them. You know there's a person there, but you can't tell who the speaker is. And then the other spaces, places where the speaker is very clear. So it depends on lighting. So what you do is you use the artificial lights, LED lights. Some people use ring lights. I used it initially, but the problem with it was because I used glasses, then it shows a little ring on the glasses. And that was distracting to me. So I stopped using the ring, and I have these lights I'm using. And now in Zoom, you have a setup where it says adjust my lighting. I've turned off everything in Zoom because I do not want Zoom to have the control. I want to keep the control myself. So the cameras that I'm using, Logitech HD, they automatically adjust for lighting. If it's low light or too bright light. So I've got an overhead light. I can turn it off. So if I turn it off, then it takes a few seconds and the camera will adjust. Can you see me? So see, there's no light except for the one light. The other light I was showing you an upward side. So the camera also adjusts if it's not enough light. So one is to experiment with your lighting, place a lamp or something on the sides, and then stand in different places to see where you appear. And you can videotape yourself when you do start a meeting, but just a one-person meeting, hit record, and then look at the record and see how you appeared. Or if you have a friend, you can have a two-person meeting, and then get feedback from the other person. Say, hey, how do I appear? I'm standing here. How do I look now? Can you see me as my lighting? So you can experiment that way. You have an idea what's the best place for you. To avoid the direct light, the light should not be coming straight at you. Otherwise, people won't be able to see. And if there's no light where then you're going to be dark.
Thank you so much, DTM Sarfraz. And I think even 20 hours will be not enough to cover all this, because your tips are so valuable, and we all experience all these things. And one thing that I'm taking away from this is that a good video presentation does not happen by accident. You always have to work it, and you always have to work at it every time you're speaking.
True.
And that's something like total quality control, where you have to ensure that you are maximizing your light, your audio, your video, your setup, your angle, each and every time, because you don't know when something will go wrong. I think that is one of the lessons that I will be taking away from this. Thank you so much, sir, once again for your absolutely fantastic
Thank you. Just like speaking, you give speeches and you'll get better at it. Just same thing. You have to give speeches on Zoom and then learn from the mistakes that you've made and keep adjusting. I'm still a student learning, and then best way to learn was for me to share my knowledge with others, what I've learned so far, and I'm going to continue learning and continue sharing. So thank you for giving me this honor to be with you at this meeting.
Most welcome, sir. Most welcome, sir. And yes, as per my favorite writer, someone asked him, Stephen King, someone asked him, how do you learn to write? And he said simply, by writing. You can only learn writing by writing, and that's for each and every skill that you wish to acquire. You can watch videos, you can watch presentations, you can read material, and you can do it all your life, and you will not gain one iota of knowledge unless you do it and do it again and again and again. And that's what I say to everyone, that you have to make speeches in order to learn to speak. So whether they're and you have to make you have to make good speeches, you have to make bad speeches, you have to make utter disasters too, and that's only when you learn. But the important thing is to keep speaking. So with that, we move on to the next segment, which is our prepared speech. And today we have, after quite a bit of time, we are glad to see Toastmaster Latif back on speaking roster, because yes, he has been evaluating and winning best evaluator with his usual frequency, but speeches have been few and far between. So today he will be delivering his high performance leadership project speech 1, and I'll ask his evaluator to not only introduce the project but also to introduce the panel of evaluators.
No, you are not audible. And no, you aren't audible.
Did you not check your audio setup before joining this meeting, Imran?
90 minutes before.
Yeah.
No, you aren't audible.
I think change the input, change the microphone on your Zoom.
It's on the phone, not the laptop. Maybe that's why. Maybe just exit and then join. That always works.
So the restart thing, the reboot thing, that is the most sure-shot troubleshooting tip for any computing device.
Let's see.
Can anyone confirm that I'm audible?
Voila,
Yes,
you are.
Now you're too noisy, but anyway, okay, it's okay. Please go ahead.
Okay, fellow Toastmasters and guests, today Toastmaster Latif Mansoor Ali will going to deliver his first speech from High Performance Leadership. The speech title is The Shy Guy, which is absolutely contrary to his personality. The purpose statement of this project is the purpose of this project is for the member to apply his or her leadership and planning knowledge to develop a project plan, organize a guidance committee, and implement the plan with the help of a team. The purpose of the first speech is for the member to introduce his or her plan and vision. Along with me, we have a good panel of evaluators. And in recommendators, let me introduce our recommendator. Number one is Toastmaster Rabia Zishan, with no surprises. And second recommendation is DTM Sarfraz Nazir.
Actually, there is a surprise because Rabia is no longer in the meeting. So maybe we will ask either Toastmaster Najam, if he can be one of the recommenders, sir. Would you?
Toastmaster Najam, could we have you as one of the recommendator?
Okay, fine.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
And the two commendators are DTM Sashwet, Area Director DTM Sashwet, and Area Director Toastmaster Amir Bilal. I'm sure there's no surprises for the commendators. Great. So the shy guy, the stage is all yours. The time duration is 5 to 7. Over to you, the shy guy.
Mr. Tiger, yeah. All right. There's your video. I was about to tell you. All right. Wait. You're muted.
No, I was just checking if this is working.
Okay.
Fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guest. Few years back, when I was assigned a project, I tried to be, as an event planner, I can give my ideas, but never show up on stage. What happens? At the vote of thanks, my name is not included. Reason? Because I never participated as a frontliner, or I never participated as saying that, why don't you do this in some conference meeting or something? And very commonly, being from Karachi, I used to always say, chalta hai. Let it happen. It's okay. And everyone others used to be pondering upon why Latif is not around. When we see them every event, but why his name is not around. And I was not even sure this vote of thanks should have my name. I was the first person who was assigned to do this, and I said, no, please, no, not me. And it went to others, and they took the flagship and everything. Finally, that moment came when someone introduced me, there is a Toastmasters club. And in that Toastmasters club, I was the first person, when looking at the icebreaker speech and the module, I decided to show myself as a scout. In my first icebreaker speech, I wore a scouting uniform and introduced myself, who am I? That was a very proud moment of me. And that was the first chain which started a lot, giving me that potential to show up towards the camera, towards the people, and give my ideas. Way forward, few months back, we were discussing in a group of colleagues, like with meeting. We were around 17 to 12 to 17 people. And my manager said, this social media is way good ahead now. LinkedIn, we find a lot of jobs and everything. And I said, I don't like LinkedIn. And she said, why you don't like LinkedIn? And I gave her a reason, saying, LinkedIn says, people like you follows XYZ. And I said, how can there be a person like me? And she said, oh, Latif, I can't answer you this. What shall I say this? You make me speechless. And then there were few people who said, I think there is a frame pending. We should have your photo over there because of this unique idea. So fellow friends, after this all moments where I can speak now without my ahs and ums, I can express my ideas. Finally, I got up with an idea to hold an event and be the head of it. Before that, I just want to start up with my sharing a screen. And here it is. Is it visible to everyone?
Yes. Yes.
This was something new for me. An advanced academy, advanced evaluation. Trust me, we had our first XCOM meeting in this COVID when we came to personal meetings in somewhere April, May, and then it was given an idea by the president, distinguished Toastmaster Talha bin Hamid, that we should have an academy session, and that will not only benefit those people who cannot attend online meetings due to Wednesdays. Finally, we started academy session on 18th of September. Now, way ahead, I was thinking that what should be a flag event of this academy? And a flag event for this academy should be a contest, because Toastmaster is with a contest. And why a flag event? Because then there should be, this is of Karachi Toastmasters Club. Karachi Toastmasters turning 1,000. We had a lot of things in common. Karachi Toastmasters has encouraged each and every member. So here I was with a vision that we should take this advanced evaluation for a flag event. A flag event where we can have a contest between people and introduce this towards the larger audience of District 122. So firstly, I brought this idea to the XCOM when I was the previous XCOM, and it was happily accepted by distinguished Toastmaster Talha bin Hamid and the other XCOM members. Finally, I went to go with this as a mission that if this is going large or growing good, we will have this event between all club. Every club will bring, of District 122 will bring their team and make it happen. Furthermore, I have already made the guidance committee, which is Toastmaster Najam Rizvi, who will be heading with me, Toastmaster Amir Bilal, and distinguished Toastmaster Talha bin Hamid. Those feedbacks of how to participate, how I will be bringing this into the event, how we are going to make a team, and how much teams required. We had our first meeting and we discussed that there will be maximum of 1.5 hour meeting. The teams will be decided a week before so that they can decide. Moreover, this will be a flag event right after Karachi Toastmaster turns 1,000 on 27th of July. So this event will happen on 30th of July, and everyone is invited to know more. Thank you. We will be publishing with marketing on WhatsApp groups also. Thank you very much, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Latif. And let me highlight here that this was an amazing idea that was brought in by Toastmaster Latif. We had never, in fact, for me at least, I have never heard about anything remotely like this. It will be kind of a tournament where teams of evaluators will be pitted against each other, and it will be a lot of fun. That I can guarantee, because nothing like this has ever happened before, at least in Pakistan. Don't know about any other district. So thank you so much, Toastmaster Latif. And yes, you're saying that nothing has like this has happened elsewhere as well. So we will once again be pioneering something, inshallah, thanks to you. Thanks for doing this project, and inshallah, it will be far more successful than our wildest dreams. So, with that, I hand over the charge now to our lead evaluator, Toastmaster Imran Rana, to conduct the evaluation session.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Latif, for delivering such a wonderful speech. Uh, I I loved your speech. It's a proper speech with proper opening, body, and conclusion. Uh, your start was quite good, with a bitter reality, bitter truth, and that instantly grabbed my attention. And then you brought up about how you described your personality, that you were a shy guy, and you never participated as a frontliner, and your friend teasing you about this, and then you were introduced to Toastmasters, and I can guarantee that Toastmasters has changed number uh, people's life. Means it brought positive changes in person's life, and we can see the confident Toastmaster Latif in today's meeting. Uh, and then you delivered your speech with confidence, and your body language was perfectly aligned, especially your hand gestures. Initially, I was struggling. It means since the object required to explain the planning plus the vision and the vision statement, then finally you brought the vision and the mission of your project, and you finally shared the project, that your project is to conduct an event, a contest of advanced evaluation, and your vision was to take advanced evaluation as a flag event. So that's wonderful. And you introduces your guidance committee, Amir Bilal, Najam Rizvi, Talha bin Hamid, and here I am a little bit angry on you that I'm not part of that committee. So uh, that's not very not very happy to hear that, but it's perfectly fine. And then you told us about the planning, that how will you going to conduct this event, and you have mentioned the date about this event, that is after the 1000th meeting of Karachi Toastmasters Club. Overall, you delivered a wonderful speech. Your content was in a chronological order, but there's one area of improvement which I would like to suggest, that today you delivered a speech. Uh, you mostly you delivered your speech in a standing gesture, and in that way you can easily use the stage, wisely use the stage. But today you delivered it in your comfortable zone, but it was quite good. So overall, I thoroughly loved your speech. It was a perfect speech for the HPA project, and it was a perfect speech it was a perfect first speech of high performance leadership. Now I would like to uh, ask my recommendators to come up with their feedback. And my first recommender is Toastmaster Najam Rizvi. Could we have Toastmaster Najam Rizvi with us?
Thank you, Toastmaster Imran. I was really privileged to be on his team, and today Toastmaster gave a wonderful speech, his presentation. But what I felt was that maybe a little bit more on the actual idea that he has come up with would have been more interesting for the audience. He gave a wonderful background. The introduction was wonderful, but the introduction perhaps could have been shortened, and we could have heard more about the actual concept that he has come up with, which is a team-based evaluation contest. And I find that very interesting. It's a wonderful concept. But then in this introduction of that concept today, perhaps the details were too brief for that specific contest. So maybe more details of that contest would have further improved his speech today. That's my recommendation. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Najam, for such a valuable recommendation. And now I would like to request DTM Sarfaraz Naveed to share his valuable feedback.
Thank you, Toastmaster Imran Rana and fellow Toastmasters, and especially you, Toastmaster Latif. I'm going to give you 3.5 recommendations. Number one, in your speech, you mentioned that KTC Academy started 18 September. In one of your slides, it also had the date 18 September, but I did not see the year. Now, most of the people in the meeting are aware of the date, but I am not sure what that date is. Is it 2001 or 2000? So you should have given the complete date. Number two, you were passionate about the subject, and there were times when you said something with passion and excitement. And when you did that, your laptop started moving or shaking. And I could see the wall behind you was shaking. And I thought, is there an earthquake? What's happening? So you want to make sure that your laptop is placed on a study table or something so it doesn't shake when you start shaking. Number three, humor was missing. So you had an apple, you should have kept the apple with you. And in your presentation, you said, oh, when we do the KDC Academy, we'll tell people, hey, how to stand, where to stand, and then we'll show them how to place the apple on their head. And then afterwards, we can take a bite out of the apple. And then 3.5 recommendation, just like TM Imran, you left me out of you still have time to put me in that committee that you have. Back to you, Ms. Toastmaster Imran.
Thank you so much for supporting me, DTM Sarfaraz Nazeer. Now we are moving towards the commendation part. Okay, my bad that the advanced evaluation goes like first the commendation and finally the recommendation. But today I mistakenly reversed the order. So now it's time for our commendators, DTM Sarshweb, to please share your valuable feedback and give some pat on the back of Toastmaster Latif Mansoor Ali's speech.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lead Evaluator. Yes, after those recommendation, pat on the back is really needed. So, Toastmaster Latif. So, I can just go on and on and on about the positive parts of your speech, but just because I have just 1 minute. So the best thing about your whole speech was the information. Yes, you might have had a long intro, but I think that intro was needed to actually define the impact of this session. So that was well done. Your gestures today were on point. You were moving them along with the content and 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 among all of the positive, these were the two that I found really good. So it's back to you, Mr. Imran.
Thank you so much, Area Director DTM Sakshi. Now we are moving towards the next Area Director, Toastmaster Amir Bilal. So Toastmaster Amir Bilal, the recommendation.
Thank you very much, lead evaluator Team Imran Rana. TM Latif Mansoor, I always appreciate one thing about you, your creativity. The day I heard about you being PR of Karachi Toastmasters Club, I exactly knew you will set very positive trends, and you brought really creative stuff. And the other thing you deserve to be congratulated is gifting KTC an amazing thing by introducing KTC Advanced Evaluation Contest. This is perfect example of how your journey has been. You started wonderfully by telling us your inspiring story. Now, since we know how creative, how amazing, and how inspiring you are, I want you to think and work on one thing, which is the alignment of your emotions and expressions and your thoughts. The moment you speak, your delivery should be pretty much aligned with your emotions. How happy I am to be the initiator of this project. Let everyone know and get engaged with that. I feel this could have somehow been evolved during this project delivery. And the other thing is, when you're talking about high leadership performance, your project was to talk about execution of this. So I think you could have endorsed the importance of this a bit, or could have given a little more time to express what you really wanted to. So this is all from my side, and congratulations again.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Imam Bilal, for your valuable recommendations. Now it's time for the speaker, Toastmaster Latif Mansurali, to please share your thoughts in 1 minute, and your time starts now.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Imran Rana and the team of evaluation who helped me give feedback. Two things which I completely understand why Toastmaster Imran Rana and DTM Sarfraz are not there, because you people have another role. When there is a contest, we need chief judge that is there. Plus, I want Imran Rana to participate. I want him to come and deliver some speeches. I want him to be on stage. Thank you very much for everyone introducing me as in giving me an opportunity for doing this HPL project. I would appreciate only one thing, which is today by afternoon or I will be submitting the forms. We will require maximum numbers of participation of Karachi Toastmasters Club. The teams will be decided by us. Lastly, my intro was big just because I took so many years to just come up and give a frontliner stage. And thanks to Toastmaster for having me this HPL project. This is a one good event where I can try to be myself and bring it others ideas together to make a successful event. Thank you very much, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Latif. Okay, just one thing to be clear. Since I'm the area director, I'm not sure that area directors are allowed to participate in the contest or not. So with that, thank you so much, Toastmaster Latif. And before handing over charge to DTM Talha, I just wanted to mention that we can celebrate Academy session on 17th. It will be the third Saturday, and it's the 17th of September, and that hopefully fall on means it will be Saturday, and the month is September, so we can celebrate a year of Academy session as well. So over to you, distinguished Toastmaster Talha Bin Hamid.
Oh yes, oh yes. Sorry. I just wanted to answer distinguished Toastmaster Sarfraz. Yes, it was year 2021.
Yes,
last year.
Yes. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Toastmaster Imran, for conducting this session and also pointing out the possibility of another celebration. Of course, it will be very neat if we celebrate 1 year anniversary of Academy session, because it is also something that no one else does. So I just wanted to, before moving on to general evaluation, Toastmasters, since I was unfortunate enough to miss out on the meeting yesterday. My first question to you is how will we decide the teams? I mean, shouldn't we leave it to the members that if they want to be a team lead and then they can gather their team? So won't that be good if we shift the burden to them rather than taking it upon ourselves?
I take this as an opportunity now because there are almost everyone in the room which can give an idea, input. But this was brought to me with yesterday's meeting with the guidance committee that Toastmaster Najam Rizvi and Toastmaster Amir Bilal suggested that we should have all the firms as participants.
Okay.
And
okay.
Once we have around 21 to 28 members, 21 to 24 members, so we can make 7 to 8 teams by using the randomizer, so that there should not be any conflict of I be the first, so I took the best evaluator in my team.
I think yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. That way there will be no possibility of discrimination.
Yes, and only thing which is I missed out after the event, there will be a debrief session also over there. If we are successful in this, I would like to have it like district event where we can try to have maximum clubs participated on a division level or area level, or how does it work? That is up to the directors and deciders. Thank you.
Yeah, and there are none in this room at this point. So what we can do is that we can invite the district leadership to the event, to our event, and then perhaps we can pitch this idea on district level. So anyhow, secondly, my other question was how will the winner be decided? I had a thought process that maybe it should be a mixture of maybe 3 criteria. The first could be voting. The second could be how the test speaker evaluates the panel evaluation. I think they're the best judge about how they felt about the evaluation, which one was most helpful. And the third could be a secret judge or something. So has some thought given to that?
Okay, now this one brings me a good idea of having a test speaker being the judge and the final verdict. But I felt, what I thought was the same contest way, the chief judge and his team of evaluation judges. This was my idea.
All right. Yes.
Voting no. Voting, I'm against it.
All right. Fine.
Everyone loves Toastmasters, DTM Talha bin Hamid.
No. No one. And I cannot participate, by the way.
No,
so,
I'm just.
Yeah. Yes, Toastmaster Imran, what were you saying?
I think you can participate.
I think Latif, let it be like the evaluation speech contest, but the rules can be amended since we haven't seen. The rules can be amended or described by the guidance committee, and on that rules we can have that contest. So since it's not an official contest, it's first of its kind. So it could be easily be defined by the guidance committee.
So perhaps you can consider, yes. So I agree that there should be a panel of judges, of course, but perhaps we could also add some weightage to the opinion of the test speaker themselves, because after all, they are the primary audience, the target audience of the evaluation. So maybe they should have a say. Again, just a thought. So with that,
is good.
Yeah. So with that, moving on to the general evaluation session and DTM answer. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Talha bin Hamid, fellow Toastmasters and honorable guests. Welcome to the general evaluation part of our academy session, and let's move on to the report by the role players. my first role player is the language evaluator, which was done by Toastmaster Latif, if he remembers. So, Toastmaster Latif, over to you.
Thank you very much, distinguished Toastmaster Saad, our general evaluator. This meeting was full of good usage of grammars, but not so attractive uses of sentences and everything. Why I say good usage of grammar? Because when our keynote speaker, distinguished Toastmaster Sarfraz, was heading it, there were so many gestures, so many sentences which were related right towards the for the audience, and that doesn't need any clear cut, like some phrases by the keynote speaker, because it's coming from himself, and he very proudly, or very, I will say, naturally took it a level up. um, no verdict about the prepared speaker, because he never uses any of the phrases, never remember any phrases. So just delete that session from his book. Lastly, but not the least, I felt a language evaluator is an important person who try to improve the pronunciation of the speaker also. And in today's meeting, I did not even find that happening, that even a single pronunciation mistake, which I can, or mispronounce sentence or word, I could have rectified. Wonderful meeting. Love the show. Keep rocking. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Latif, and moving on to the timer of the meeting, who was also the Toastmaster of the day, who is also the BPE, who is also the IPDD, DTM Salah bin Hamid. So over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. I was thinking that maybe now I would escape these prefixes and suffixes, but I think I was mistaken. Anyhow, so today the meeting started a little bit late, and as BPE, I take responsibility, but the role players took some time in gathering. So maybe 10 minutes, it was 10 minutes late. The keynote was exceptionally well timed, although DTM Sarfraz exceeded 20 minutes by a few seconds. I believe the way he concluded led naturally to its conclusion in the 20th minute, and that is something we should all learn. In fact, I feel that what DTM Sarfraz does is that when he sees the timing guides, he uh, adjusts his speech to lead towards a conclusion, and that's something that we all need to learn, because he does it so organically and smoothly. So kudos on that. Q&A session took more time than allotted, and again it was my fault because I happened to be the timer. So, but even then, I mean, the questions themselves and the answers were too useful. Uh, and as I always say, in fact, I never say that, but today I'll say that. What's a few minutes between friends, right? If if you're getting such useful information. So as timer, that's the last thing I should be saying. But as Toastmaster of the day, I can say that. So Toastmaster Latif, you exceeded your time, also allotted time by a few seconds. The evaluation panel stuck to their timing limits beautifully. And with that, over to you, Digit.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster DTM Salah bin Hamid. So we did not have an R counter, thank God, because that would make make um, make our lives miserable again. So let's move on to the next part, which is my own evaluation of the meeting. As mentioned, uh, the meeting began a bit over time, but but that's quite that's quite reasonable because actually to organize two meetings in a week takes a lot, and and those those and those are the sentiment by a VPE speaking. And moving on to the next part, which is the keynote, which was absolutely well done by DTM Sarfaraz throughout those that time. We uh, we were not able to find one moment, one one second that uh, was not informative. So sir, thank you very much. So the and then the and then the and then the prepared speech, which was all about a new idea, a new a new a new a new a new concept uh, by 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 Toastmaster by Toastmaster Latif Mansoor Ali, and we uh, we are uh, really honored that once again we will be introducing a new thing worldwide in worldwide in worldwide in Toastmasters. So and now for some parts which can be worked upon. The meeting was absolutely on point with the timings and everything, with the according to the agenda. But if you are uh, but if we have those interaction between the VP and the advisor to the VP, VP, VP between the meeting, then to and pro pro talks, and even after the speeches, if we uh, if we 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 are to have a have 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 some word or some interaction that should be mentioned in the agenda, or else we can do that at the end of the meeting. But again, the way the roles were chopped and changed change was masterfully done, and I believe it was again a wonderful academy meeting. So with that, it's over to you, DTM, the Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Tala bin Hamid. I'm out.
Thank you so much, General Evaluator. And this brings the meeting to a close. And I have now nothing more to do except to hand over the charge to the president, who is not here. So that makes me the de facto president as VP Education. So the charge is henceforth handed over. And I'll just like to ask Toastmaster Zahra Ibrahim if she would share her feedback about it.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. So it was a wonderful meeting as always, and I had a few sessions in the morning, and then I realized that today is the meeting of KTC, which is I think the advanced meeting, right? So I just joined, and but I missed DTM Sarparai's speech, which I will definitely watch afterwards. But I got the chance to hear Toastmaster Latif, and his speech was incredible. And I think at times there's always some motivation, I would say, or some lesson in his speech, which is always there. And I think it's something very positive. So thank you very much. So I really enjoyed this entire session. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Zahra, for joining and for joining whenever you can. Thank you so much for that. And with that, this meeting is brought to a close. And see you all this Wednesday, inshallah. And just everyone in this meeting, which are who are now very few, but even so, and all of you guys are quite responsive. So it's not much use, but I'll say it anyway. That please take up roles in time so that the agenda can be finalized in time. So